Okay, let's start with a really fascinating mathematical puzzle. Imagine two completely different sets of data that somehow share the exact same average score. On paper, at a super quick glance, you might think they're exactly the same. But when you actually look closely at the numbers, a completely different reality emerges. You could have one data set that's tightly grouped together, literally every single value landing right on target. And then the other data set could be wildly split between extreme highs and extreme lows. Yet somehow, they both compute to the exact same average. So how is it possible to accurately summarize what is actually happening in a data set without just guessing or assuming why it looks that way? Well, that is exactly the foundational puzzle we're solving in this explainer today.
To build a truly reliable mental model for understanding data, we really need to strip away all the heavy jargon and focus strictly on observation.
There is a major core tension here that we have to navigate. How do descriptive statistics actually summarize a dataset without explaining why it looks that way? You know, it's just human nature to look at a number, like say a sudden drop in sales, or a massive spike in website traffic, and instantly invent a story about what caused it. But honestly, that's a huge trap. We need a strict, absolutely impenetrable boundary between what we are observing and what is causing it. Descriptive statistics live entirely in the realm of observation. They exist just to compress the complex features of our data into understandable numbers, but they purposefully stop right there.
So, by definition, descriptive statistics use measures of center, spread, position, shape, and frequency to summarize observed data. And here's the kicker. They do this while making absolutely no automatic causal claim beyond those observations. That last part, that's the golden rule. We're not testing theories here, and we're definitely not running predictive models. We are simply characterizing the data exactly as it appears. To turn this somewhat abstract concept into a genuinely useful system, we need to be crystal clear on three things: what information goes into the process, what mathematical operation organizes it, and what kind of output we get back. Keeping those parts totally separate is the only way we can actually trust the numbers.
Now, this mechanism isn't just some random assortment of stats terms. It's a very deliberate four-step chronological path. Step 1, count. You always have to count your valid observations first to get a feel for the overall distribution. I mean, an average means absolutely nothing if you don't know whether you have 50 records or 5 million, right? Step 2, center. This is where we choose measures like the mean or the median to find the middle ground of the data. Step 3, spread. We pick measures like the range, the interquartile range, or the standard deviation just to understand how far the data stretches out from that center point. And finally, step 4, context. We've got to report the units, identify any groupings, note if data is missing, and ideally provide a visual. This specific path matters deeply, mostly because assumptions, weird measurement choices, and errors can sneak in at literally any stage. A truly responsible explanation reveals this entire process, not just the final shiny output number.
Following that process is absolutely vital, and we have a really compact, worked example that illustrates this perfectly. Let's look at Dataset A. It contains the values 68, 70, 72, 74, and 76. Right next to it is Dataset B, containing 40, 55, 72, 89, and 104. If we run step 2 of our process, finding the center, we get a mean of 72 for Dataset A. Now what about Dataset B? The mean is also exactly 72. Well, what if we use the median instead? The middle ordered value. For Dataset A, the middle is 72. For Dataset B, the middle is 72. Two radically different arrays of numbers compute to perfectly identical centers. If our analysis stopped right here, we'd think these two datasets were practically identical twins.
But the moment we contrast them visually, their shapes tell completely different stories. Look at Dataset A. It's tightly grouped. Every single value hugs right up against that mean of 72. There's hardly any variability at all. But Dataset B, it's wildly scattered. You got this massive spread between a low of 40 and a high of 104. This mathematical reality proves exactly why a single measure of center is completely insufficient to describe a dataset. You have to separate the location of the data from the variability of the data. By combining our center measures with our spread measures, the true distribution finally comes out of hiding.
So, applying this responsibly requires a really strict decision rule. Always match your method to the question, the available data, and the cost of error. It is actually remarkably common for people to pick specific statistical techniques just because they're popular in their industry, or maybe because they look super technically sophisticated on a presentation slide. But instead, we need to ask 3 hard questions. Are the inputs actually appropriate for this method? Does the output actually answer our real question? And most importantly, what is the cost of error if this summary turns out to be misleading? We use these tools to carefully characterize a sample, check our assumptions, and make smart choices about what deeper analyses we might need down the line.
This brings us to one of the biggest pitfalls in data interpretation, the huge misconception that an average is a complete, typical, or somehow normal description of a group. We hear phrases like the average user or the average score all the time, right? But as we just saw with Dataset B, the average might not accurately represent even a single actual observation in the real world. A much more accurate view is that center absolutely must be interpreted alongside the spread, the shape, the sample size, the missing data, and the measurement scale. An average without context isn't some deep insight, it's honestly just a massive potential blind spot.
Recognizing the boundaries of these tools is exactly what makes them so effective. Summaries have very strict limitations. For instance, they can conceal multimodality, meaning there might be two entirely distinct peaks in your data that a single mean just completely flattens out. They hide important subgroup differences. They can obscure a heavy skew in the data, and they can mask highly influential outlier observations that are secretly distorting all your numbers. Crucially, just because you can perfectly describe a specific sample does not automatically mean those descriptions generalize to a larger population. Recognizing these limits is what tells us exactly when to stop calculating and start applying some human judgment or gathering more evidence.
All right, let's tie the whole shebang together with a quick retrieval recap. What are descriptive statistics? They're tools that use measures of center, spread, position, shape, and frequency to summarize observed data, while making absolutely no automatic causal claims. How do they work? They follow a strictly logical progression. Count the data, find the center, measure the spread, and provide the context. And when does this actually matter? This exact process is used to characterize an observed sample, carefully compare groups, check underlying assumptions, and set a super reliable foundation for any deeper predictive analysis you might want to do later on.
Ultimately, statistical boundaries aren't just limitations. They're actually the very spaces where human judgment is the most necessary. The numbers can perfectly summarize what is happening in the data, but context, curiosity, and critical thinking, those are required to figure out what you're actually supposed to do with it. Because if two radically different datasets can completely hide behind the exact same average, you always have to ask yourself, what hidden story is the average masking right now? Uncovering that story means you must always look past the center.